Over the world, great structures loom high, rooted in deep foundation, but soaring to the sky. As the progress moves on, the crowds stand in awe at these glorious structures these dreamers first saw. Well, howdy everyone, hope you're just having a splendid day. I know myself I am. Started off with a nice cup of coffee and a big old bowl of oatmeal. Seriously guys, you need to eat breakfast. You gotta stay fueled up. You're gonna be set, alright? Now, as you can probably guess from the name of this episode and from what I said in the last video, I'm gonna be talking about the structure of songwriting. Last week laid the kind of the foundation, the basics of songwriting. This week I'm gonna get into the structure. And for me, the structure of songwriting is gonna break down into these three elements right here. So the form of a song is generally going to be notated in one of two different ways. The most common is going to be verse, chorus, bridge, intro, outro, that sort of thing. But you might see it kind of written in a lettering system where A takes the form of the verse, B is a chorus, C could be a bridge. Probably the most common way you'll see that done is A, B, C, B, which would be the exact same thing as verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, which is also kind of the go-to template for pop, rock music, that sort of thing. Is that the form is just a combination of the smaller parts in it. You can have an intro, you can have a verse, you can have a chorus, you can have a bridge, you can have an interlude, a solo, and an outro. And it's really just how you take each part and put it together. That's going to be your form. There are plenty of songs that don't have a bridge. It could be verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. A lot of songs, especially if you're doing like a classic rock, kind of a hard rock atmosphere, you might do verse, chorus, interlude, verse, chorus, solo, then a bridge, then a chorus, then an outro. That's kind of the top formulation that you see for it. But you really also don't really want to put yourself into a box. You don't want to get stale. So it's nice to be able to mix it up every once in a while. You really want to find something that works for how you want to write. If you're doing a story song, you might actually have it all be the verse. There is no chorus. A lot of blues and a lot of country, there's not a chorus in it. It's a kind of an extended verse with a hook at the end of each verse. And that hook, that last line, that's going to function as your chorus, but it's actually all just verses. One of the things you really want to look at is the opening of the song. That's kind of the most important part. It really doesn't matter how good of an instrumentalist you are, how good of a lyricist you are. If your intro doesn't catch somebody, and you probably have about 5 to 8 seconds to catch someone's attention, so you really need that intro to really just pop out to grab their attention. And there's a number of different ways you can do that. You can have a build-up, kind of like Enter Sandman that Metallica did, where it kind of gradually builds the guitar and then the band comes in, and then the verse. You could do what Metallica did with Master of Puppets and have the whole band start in, but it's an intro. The bump, 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 that part right there, it's almost a cold open. Like the whole band is there, but it's not really the first verse. Now, one of the things I like is what I call a cold open, and you can see it all across genres. Hey Ya by Outkast had a cold open. Cold by Crossfade had a cold open, and that's where there is no intro. It just boom, hits you right in the face. The song starts at the verse. The lyrics come in, the whole band is there, everything. And I think that's useful to grab someone's attention because they're not expecting it. And they're expecting to hear kind of an intro, something that builds up. So when something, boom, just comes along and smacks them right in the face, that's actually a good thing to do. But you also don't want to overdo it. Now, if you're doing like hardcore punk or some sort of metal, that might work really well. It usually isn't used in more of the blues, but maybe you're the first to do it, you know? The main thing about songwriting is we have this little wall here, this little form that's gonna say this is what you're supposed to do, these are the things you do. and you say, okay, I know how to do all these things, and then you just rip it up, you throw it away, and you do whatever you felt like anyway. But when you're setting your form up, you do want to know going in how it's going to end. It's a big thing for writers. If you're writing a novel, it's the same way in music. You don't necessarily want to ramble. You don't want the song to feel like it's not really going anywhere, or it accidentally came to the end, or the end wasn't really what you prepared for it to be. And the best way to do that is to map out ahead of time. Now we move into the fun part for me, is the instruments used and the mixing of those instruments, and how the instruments play with each other. So if you're doing a bluegrass style, you're gonna have 4, 5, 6 different instruments. You're gonna have a mandolin, a guitar, a fiddle, a bass, a vocal, and you want them to play off of each other. It's gonna be the same with every other style, and figure out, you have to, listen to some records that you like, listen to some bands that you like, see how they mix those in. So if you're doing a hard rock, you're probably gonna have 2 guitars, a bass, a drum, and a vocalist, maybe a keyboard or a synthesizer or like that. What you need to do is you need to focus on how does the drum and the bass play together, because that's generally going to be your main rhythm. How does your rhythm guitar play with the bass? It might be good to have the bass line and the rhythm track both be the same thing, the rhythm guitar. It might be good to have both of them do that and just give a fuller, thicker sound to it. That can be useful, but it can also be nice to spread it up a little bit, to mix it up, and to have the bass play almost a riff while the electric guitar is just playing that steady chord rhythm. Or you might have the bass playing that steady rhythm underneath while the electric guitar is doing kind of a high chord pattern, or maybe a staccato rhythm or something like that, because it's all about how it interplays with itself. If you have too many things doing the rhythm, it gets jumbled, you can't really hear it. If you have too many instruments playing in the same frequency areas, or if you have too many basically taking up the same concept for the listener, it's going to get muddy, it's not going to be something they want to hear, and it's not going to come through. The key is you want everything to kind of be able to breathe, is really focus on what instruments are needed for the type of song you're writing, and how should you mix those instruments in with each other so that they're playing off each other. You want the song to sound live, you want the song to sound energetic, and you can't do that if they're all competing for the same areas. Alright, now in line with the way the instruments are chosen and they're mixed with each other comes the interplay of the melody, the rhythm, and the harmony. Now, a lot of people, myself included, kind of look at the rhythm as the backbone of the song. It's going to be your drums and bass, most often, occasionally a guitar, occasionally some other instruments. But what you really want to do is you want to make sure that that rhythm is as steady as it can be. And then you're going to bring the harmony in to kind of fill it out. Now, in kind of classic pop sense, like the Phil Spector idea was this, what he called the wall of sound. And that's still around today. That's where you have this rich harmony that just fills everything in. But it doesn't have to be that way. Your harmony can be basic. It can be bare bones. There's a lot, especially in the country side of music, where the harmony is just going to be one acoustic guitar, and it's not overwhelming. It's the melody is, it's generally either going to be your lead instrument, which most of the time is going to be a guitar, but it could also be a piano, saxophone, a fiddle, really anything. A bass can be your lead instrument if you want. You can have it play the melody. But what you want to do is you want to make sure the melody, whether it's played by that instrument or the vocals, is able to kind of pierce through the harmony if it's a wall of sound, or really focus through the harmony if it's a kind of thinner sound to it. And you really want to set the melody to where the upbeats and the downbeats from your rhythm track accentuate the words that you choose or the specific notes you choose to really emphasize with your melody. So you really want your melody and your rhythm to play off each other, so that if you're doing an upbeat song, that on the ones and threes you might put your more important word there, or you might put the phrase or the concept you're really trying to establish on that important beat, because that's what's going to jump at the listener. It's less used, but you can put the important words or an important note for a solo on the offbeat. It just doesn't quite have that grab you by the face effect. And then once you have the harmony around it, and I'll get more into this in the theory side, the harmony and the melody, they play off of each other by focusing on the important notes in that harmony. You want to hit the notes that really bring it to life, but you can also hit a couple notes that aren't in the key, aren't in what the harmony would suggest, and that gives kind of a bittersweet, a lot of times a diminished sound. It could be a creepy sound. It's just something that's not expected, and that can also be used to effect. So really, the interplay of those three is you want your backbeat, your backbone to be on the rhythm. You want the melody to kind of flow with the rhythm. You want the harmony to kind of encompass everything and glue it together. But you also want the melody and the harmony to play off of each other as well. Well, guys and girls, hope you had a lot of fun going over the structure of songwriting with me. I know I did. Tune in next week where I go over a little bit of the basic music theory for songwriters, and who better to cover basic music theory than Basic Brad. Anyway, I hope to see you next time. I'll bid you adieu, and as always, remember, follow the music, own the show. B-Row out.